Creating a business from scratch is hard and often lonely. Because of that, I decided to invite brave entrepreneurs to share their amazing journeys with me every Saturday here on my YouTube channel. This is the Startup School Jam, and my guest today is Joanne Miller with her startup, The Web Store. Welcome, Joanne. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Rodrigo. Thank you very much for having me today.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to talk with me and to share your amazing experiences with us here on YouTube. Um, so may I ask you to please introduce yourself and please do not disclose too much about your startup right now. Is that okay? We'll talk about that in a few seconds.
It is. Okay, I'm Joanne Miller, and I'm just outside of Boise, Idaho, and I have been designing and developing software and websites since 1996.
Wow.
I'm pivoting. I won't tell you how.
Well, it's been a great experience. I'm pretty sure we'll get to learn a lot about you. So here's what I would like to do. I would like to do a pitch about your startup for yourself. And then you tell me if I got it right. And if not, of course, you will do your own pitch and help us understand what is the web store. Is that correct? Is that okay?
Yes.
All right.
That's great.
So, by doing some research on the web, on your LinkedIn profile, what I understand about the web store is that you are building a service that will be located inside retail stores like FedEx, like Staples, for example, where you will have people ready to help customers to build their own websites while they wait. So it's going to be something like quick, easy for the customers. Uh, Probably for those that are not tech savvy, they kind of need some more help. And you will always have someone there ready to help them. Does that sound correct? Did I get it completely wrong?
No, you're close. You're very close. You're very close. Um, so, do you change your own oil, Rodrigo, in your car, or do you take it to a
I do
place?
not change. In fact, I understand nothing about cars. Absolutely nothing.
So, so my concept is very much like that. Many people are spending a lot of time trying to build a quality website. Um, all of us could change our own oil. We could go to YouTube, we could figure it out, we could buy the proper tools, we could find the proper location so we could get under the car, and I don't know what you do with all that dirty oil. But the web store is a similar situation. The web store is a place where you can go and you can order a website and it's done before you leave the store. So the concept is really like kind of like Uber, where there are people like me working from their home that are standing by ready to build a website, and the software will match up the project with the proper designer. So if it's a very easy website, maybe it's a resume or a recipe or an invitation, our junior designers will build that. If it's a complex website where there's several pieces and parts and there's video and maybe integration with other things, then that job would go to someone like me who's been building for a long time. So the web store is basically a piece of software that matches up the needs of a person who wants a website with someone like me who can build it very, very
Wow,
quickly.
that sounds amazing because I will share a little bit of my own experience here.
Please.
I'm a technical person. I have built my own mobile app, but when it comes to websites, I have a big problem trying to build them because I know websites need to be well designed, They need to be well organized with the correct information on the screen, in such a way that to me it's a little overwhelming to build it. So when I listen to your pitch talking about the web store and what you are building, it feels like instead of just going to a website like let's say can you remind like Wix? Can you remind me about any other one?
Square,
Squarespace.
Squarespace,
Yes.
Weebly.
So instead of me going to that service, I can just reach out to the web store and I actually have someone live with me and I say I would like my website to be like this, to do things like that, to have this sort of information, and your professional team will be there helping me build it uh, in live in real time. Is that correct?
Yes, instead of helping you, I mean, again, if you drive your car into
And just
the
leave it
oil
there.
place, they don't.
Hmm.
Yes, they don't want
Yes.
you to
Uh-huh.
help.
Yeah.
So my concept is we'll keep it very simple to begin with. 8 templates with maybe 5 color palettes. They choose a template, they choose a color palette, um, and the retail component is really optional. I want the retail component to give us an immediate distribution partner. That way, I don't have to spend a lot of money on marketing this new product. Um, as you know, Staples, FedEx Office, Office Max, Office Depot, all of these retail stores have lots of things for businesses. You can buy business cards, signs, brochures, but you can't buy a website done
Hmm.
for you. Um, and the retail partners don't want to build websites. It's too complicated. They don't have the
Hmm.
staff or the equipment. So to the customer, it's a transparent operation. Um, they can walk up to the counter, lay down their snapshots, or there could be instructions. Please email your photos to photos@thewebstore.com, or the retail partner can help the customer do this, but the retail partner has to do nothing more than help the customer get the materials to us, and then we will build that web page or several pages, and it can be live within literally just a
Oh
few
wow.
minutes. If they want their own domain name, then web address, then it will take a little longer to propagate, but we can still give them a temporary site that's live right now. And I do believe that, you know, there are people who they believe that they can build a website on their own, and they go and they get their best out there, but many times they don't know how to take the white box from around their logo, or they don't know how to put the logo in the place they want it, or maybe their photos are the wrong orientation. They've got vertical photos and they need horizontal photos or something like that. So many people do not understand how to optimize for the web. So they're uploading images that are 40,000 pixels wide. They don't understand why their website is taking really long to load. Um, and I think that right now, all of my clients, almost all of them, they require very simple uh, websites. It's generally, I would say 99% of the work I do now is for brochure sites. Um, this is our product, this is our history, this is how you reach us, this is how you buy what we have. So it's not a matter of a real complicated um, software integrated. Now we can do that too, but what we're really looking for with the web store is really rapidly built professional quality websites, and they're quite reasonable. Our model is such that uh, you can buy a simple website for as low as $50 that lasts for a
Hmm.
year. And then, of course, we have upsells. Maybe they want video, or maybe they want a form. Those could be an extra few dollars. And then there's the recurring passive income of hosting. So every year If that customer wants to keep that website up, they pay a small fee, a percentage of their original fee. And it's a very attractive revenue model because, as you know, digital goods are quite high margin. Software is high
Wow,
margin.
I will say something, and truly, this is a service that I would definitely would like to use. Like
That's
as I
awesome.
mentioned to me, building a website, it's not because of it's difficult. It's just because I don't have the patience to do it. Just because it takes
Right,
it's all together, right? It's like the design, and as you mentioned, you need to know the size of the picture, what kind of picture will go to the side, and then there is the hosting side. How do I manage the hosting and the naming of the DNS, right?
right,
Not the DNS,
right.
the URL, the
The
URL.
URL.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's great. And you mentioned that to me, as you speak, it sounds like you already provide the service. So it's already available, where people can find it, how people can hire, where can they kind of be helped by the by the web store.
So I have been building websites for many years, and I have decided to scale myself. And this is my answer to do that. But I am super happy to continue to help clients one-on-one until we've got the system all ironed out. Um, I build websites every day. Currently, I'm using WordPress. With the web store, we'll be writing custom code. And, I really do believe that the web's not going to go anywhere, and I think that it's a way to communicate. I mean, I see the web as being like post-it notes. You today you need this page, tomorrow you might need another page, and just like post-it notes, you could stick them together and make it a system. So I really think that, a page at a time, we can build a better way to have professionally quality, highly optimized, search engine friendly websites. I think all of those things put together, it's a valuable proposition. As you know, all of those things are not difficult, but so many people don't have, just like if you were going to change your oil, so many people don't have the proper tools or the proper location, or they might not know what kind of oil is the
Mm-hmm.
right kind. In fact, that just
Mm-hmm.
happened to me. I thought I would save some money, and I took my own oil into my oil guy, and he said, "This is not the right oil for your
Oof.
car." So it's good to have a
Yes.
professional
Yes.
help you, especially if it's not if it's cost friendly. And I believe that for what we're offering, it's going to be attractive to both someone like yourself who's just too busy, and also the people that they really don't know where to
Mm-hmm.
start.
I see. And you, of course, in the beginning of this conversation, we talked about being inside retail stores. This is something you have already accomplished, or this is something you will be pursuing next? Are you willing to talk about this a little bit?
Yes, I'm currently in talks with two
Mm-hmm.
retailers. Um, they're looking at a demo of the product, and I'm also in talks with a venture investment
Mm-hmm.
capital firm, and I'm trying to find out whether or not I can
Mm-hmm.
bootstrap this, or I need
Mm-hmm.
investment capital. So that is something I've needed help with, but the actual structure is not too different from what I already do. I'm just I'm just multiplying myself. And that's something I didn't talk to you about yet, Rodrigo. There is a piece of this that is the education component, where I teach people how to do what I do. And you don't need a lot of expensive software or hardware
Mm-hmm.
anymore. There are tools like Canva, um, and currently I use WordPress a great deal. And again, our software will be custom code, but we're going to make it as simple for the designers as we
Mm-hmm.
possibly can. We want this to be very, very fast. You walk into your local retailer, you slap your snapshots down on the counter, maybe you email your resume or a YouTube um, uh, URL, an address, and before you leave the store, your website is live. We do believe that there's a market for this. I'm currently doing interviews, and this will help me, Rodrigo. You saying that you would use the product, that's a check in the right column. But I am validating the concept with real people such as yourself, and we're testing as well to see how quickly we can actually build somebody's website. We've gotten it down to, depending on the complexity, we've gotten it down to as quick as 5 minutes if they don't need a custom URL.
Wow, that's great. That's it's
You can do,
impressive because to me, thinking about building my website, even if I use all the services you mentioned, like WordPress and Canva and everything, to me it's like there's a lot of preparation, a lot of planning around which template I will use and having like in this is most often not the priority to me. It's like, oh, I have so many other things to do and I need to take care of this. And having the web store, like a service like the web store available where I could just stop by like in the middle of the day and say, hey guys, I really need it. Let's, can you help me please? And they will build while I do something else that I need to do while I'm in the store. That would be great.
exactly. And I believe that we're going to use a system to match up the designer with the customer and be able to actually communicate one-on-one with them. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a software called Video Ask, but it's a messaging platform that allows you to video each other, audio each other, or text each other. And I believe that I've already been in talks with them to use that system inside of the web store until we build our own. But it's a way so that you could actually talk to your designer face to face, and you might say, here's what I have, do what you can, and then I would come back to you and say, here's what I'm producing, what do you think? And you could say, well, could you make the logo a little bit bigger? And I could say, sure. That's always, everybody wants their logo bigger. So we would be live talking, and we could make adjustments so that there's not like, you put this thing out there and you really don't know where it's gone. You don't really know who is working on it. In the web store, you'll see the person, you'll see that designer, and you can talk to that person and say, yes, that's perfect, or gosh, I like what you did over here, but not this. And you're done. And then you will build in hosting for a certain period of time that just comes with it. So you've got the upsell for other functionality. You have the upsell of future hosting. So I think it's a valuable idea, but I am still collecting opinions from others, and the startup community has been really wonderful to just throw ideas and see what comes back. So yes, I think, I'm very excited about it. And to be honest, Rodrigo, it's just me duplicating myself. If I could have lots of me, then this would work just perfectly. The challenge will be to find enough people who want to do this. But someone recently said it sounds like Uber met Upwork, because you've got matching going on, but you've also got somebody doing the work, the actual work. So, but I think that's a good way to look at it.
Can you repeat the name? Matchwork? You just mentioned Match. Upwork.
Upwork. It used to, yeah. That used to be Odesk, I think, where you hire freelancers, or a little bit like Fiverr, where you can go out and search for somebody to do a job for you. In this case, the software will match the customer up with the proper designer. We also just added copywriting. So many of my current customers, they know what they want as far as a visual look, or they know what needs to be included, but they don't know how to say it. And I think you hit something right on the head, Rodrigo. I think it's more difficult to generate your own content than it is for others. It's hard to, it's almost like I feel like I'm bragging, or I feel like I'm, you know, so we help customers, don't talk about you and your product, talk about how your product will help the
Mm-hmm.
person. And we can help people with copywriting. That's another
Mm-hmm.
upsell. We can help them with photography. We can find photography for them. We can help them edit the photography. They may have photography that needs to be, they need to chop something out, or blur out a brand name that they don't want showing. So all of those things we incorporate into that service. And we want you to love your website. So we'll work on it until you love it. And then if you have a change sometime down the road, we'll always be there to help you.
Yeah. Oh wow. So let me just tell something really quick. It's not related to the web store, unfortunately. I'm learning, and I'm so sad that I'm learning so much from you, uh, and for people who are eventually watching us. But the studio that I use to create this live streaming is really not behaving well today, in such a way that your video, Joanne, is jumping around during our conversation, which is super sad because I'm absolutely loving like this conversation, what I'm learning from you, and well, I just wanted to apologize for you and for whoever is watching us if sometimes I seem to be not capturing everything that Joanne is saying, and it's because like my studio and you guys are probably watching it on the screen, like the screen is sometimes jumping around, and it never happened before, so I don't know what's going on here. So Joanne, I just wanted to apologize. We'll continue. I just want to let you know why sometimes I seem to be looking not to your eyes, but instead I'm looking somewhere else, and I'm super sad about that because the web store and your concept is so amazing. I'm really interested. I did take a few notes here. Let's continue this conversation. Again, I apologize for this. I
Okay.
just wanted to to give this information out, for you, so you know what's going on here, and for whoever is watching us as well. If they see the screen jumping around, they will understand what is going on. So let's try to resume our conversation. Um, and you did mention, I did take some notes here, that I would like to touch, if you agree. You said you
Yes.
manage the hosting, so users can, you build the website and you also manage the hosting of their websites. They can have a URL, which I believe you can connect by using a domain name service, uh, a tool, right? So you can kind of bring that together.
Correct.
We talked about the
Yes.
WordPress, Weebly, and all those Wix. We talked about Canva. You mentioned Upwork. So let me do a little bit of. I wanted to touch on these services, and also you mentioned the search engine optimization and how important that is. Let's start by talking about hosting. And you can talk if you want to disclose prices, if you want to talk about it, you feel free. Um, can we talk about the hosting process? Like I ask you to create, or you as a company, I ask you to create a website for me, and you will host it in your own hosting service. Can you talk a little bit about this?
Sure. I currently lease 2 servers, and I'm hosting just over 100 websites of my own clients. The web store will be a similar setup. We'll have our own servers, and we will host the websites we build. Wants it hosted elsewhere, that's just another upsell service. We're happy to move it for them. Everything we build, they own. So any designs, anything that we develop for them, they're free to take and apply to other products or services. They can take the graphics we build and put them on a brochure. They can take the website we built and take it to another developer and have them expand on it. We really just want to be a service. Most of my clients, they don't have time to build a website, or they don't know how. So I'm really just, again, I'm just taking what I do now and exploding it into hundreds of me that can service thousands of clients. The retail partner is designed to bring in customers without us spending a lot of marketing money, so that they're already offering lots of business services. But so far, no one is offering a website while you wait retail outlet. I think we'll start online, and then we'll move into one of the retail brands. I can see us white labeling the software. So if FedEx office doesn't want to call it the web store, they'll call it FedEx office's websites while you wait, or whatever. But I do believe that this is a service that's long overdue. And I believe that because I have customers that are just, even my own son, he decided he would build his own website, and it took him like 48 hours. And it's just a very simple site. And he still was having trouble getting the logo just right. And it's a common problem. Sorry. My helper. So it's a common problem. And I think that soon, once we are well known, it will be unheard of to want to build your own website. It kind of like changing your own oil. None of us do that. It's just too easy to drive down the road and find somebody that's completely ready to do that.
All right, that's a good pitch, and every time you keep talking, I just get to like more and more. So after this live conversation, we'll definitely talk about building a website, because I may need
Okay.
your help soon. Uh,
I'd love to help you.
and so let me go back to the next keyword I saved here, which is SEO, or search engine optimization. So maybe people
Right.
are watching us and they are not really familiar with this term. Can we talk a little bit about it?
Sure. Um, yes, there are lots of things you can do on your website that will increase the likelihood of you being found on Google or other search engines. One of those things is updating regularly. Another one is using keywords, not just in your site infrastructure, but also throughout your content. So if you're building, I don't know, dog beds, you want to put those words that people would be using to search for dog beds. It might be, puppy beds or Great
Mm-hmm.
Dane beds or whatever. And those words can be very useful in helping the search engines find you. Something else that people do not understand is if they don't have a security certificate, Google will demote you. They are promoting websites that are that they know are secure. So an SSL certificate, many people don't think they're necessary, but then you have the problem of many of the browsers won't automatically show that website. It's a warning, a not secure warning. And so that scares people away, and that affects your search engine rank as well. So those things are very simple to do, but so many people, when they're building their own, they really just don't know they're important, or they don't know how to apply a security certificate to their website. Those things can really help, along with just having a very optimized site. So your photos are the right size, your imagery and your slower loading items aren't too heavily packed on any one page because it'll slow the whole page load down. So those things we just do as normal
Mm-hmm.
routine, but I think they'll really help people so that when they come in for a website from us, they're showing up on Google in a very short time because all of the, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and we're just doing that as part of what we would do when we build a website
Mm-hmm.
anyway.
And I also know that there are some strategies to increase the success of like being found by Google, for example. Things like writing a blog. So like a blog has a lot of
Yes.
keywords in it. Is that something you believe also? Is that something you work on?
Yes. Yes, and as you know, they are catering to video. So video is a very popular content type right now. People love video. So I always tell people, if you want, to attract more people, get yourself some video. Whether it's you personally or a screen share or something. Video is very, very
Mm-hmm.
sticky. So when we build websites, we often suggest that our customers either do a product video or a history video, something that that really just shows the search engines that this website's, they know what they're doing. They've
Mm-hmm.
got video. They've got their SEO is targeted to their
Mm-hmm.
audience. You want to, you really, if you sell signs, for example, but they're targeted to real estate, you really want to add a lot of real estate content with your product so you're attracting the right audience. You don't want to pay for words that are attracting the
Mm-hmm.
wrong
Yes, that's
people.
correct. Huh, interesting. Really learning a lot from you. That's amazing. Um,
Thank you.
and well, we talked about the website builders like WordPress and Weebly and Wix. So, what would you say about those services? I mean, of course, people may ask, all right, but I do have those services that I can use. They are easy to create. Of course, we discussed it here already, but can we focus a little bit on them? Like, um, if we have the web store versus the traditional website builders that we have, and also if you could explain to people what are those websites a little bit, just so they, if they do not know most of those services, they can kind of understand it as well.
Most people will be aware of the sites that you can go and get a website very cheap, but generally you have to build that yourself. Normally it's a pretty easy process if you're not too demanding on your design. Squarespace can make beautiful websites, but you don't own that space. That's Squarespace's space. And if you want to move that, it's not as easy as it would be, say, if you had built it in WordPress. It's a very portable,
Mm-hmm.
portable system. Wix is even worse. GoDaddy's websites, I don't think there's a lot of beautiful feature-rich functionality yet there. Um, and again, I think that there are people that want to change their own oil, and they're not my
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
customer. It's the person that doesn't want to fight with Wix or Weebly. There used to be an ad campaign by a famous female athlete, and she went on and I think she was promoting Wix, I think. And she came on and she said, I built my own website. And I just wondered, how many hours did it take you? Because it can take a long time. And a lot of times when you build your own, you're just unhappy with certain parts of it. Like I said earlier, you don't know how to get the white box from around your logo. You don't know how to size your photos
Mm-hmm.
just right. Maybe you have the perfect photo, but you can't figure out how to get it into their template. So many times people will tell me, I gave up. Here's what I've done. I don't know how to, I don't know how to finish it. I don't know how to add the
Mhm.
pay button, for my store. So we're equipped to handle all of those things and equipped to handle them while you wait. So my biggest challenge will be to find and train enough people to facilitate the throngs of people that are going to come and need their own website. At least that's my hope.
That's again, I can say I agree with every word because you just mentioned um, like someone using like 48 hours to build a website, and some people don't consider like this is money, right? This is just time. But when you are
Right.
creating something new, like we are, you are, I am, creating our own business, uh, every 5 minutes is really worth it. And if we can save 40
Mhm.
hours and pay $50 for it, it's
Right.
very cheap. So yeah, that's great. We also talked about Canva. You mentioned like people can save time designing things. I personally understand what Canva is. Maybe some people still don't. Can we talk a little bit about it?
Yes, I actually had a very strong opinion
Mm-hmm.
about Canva,
Yeah.
negative opinion, because I'm a big Photoshop user. I use
Yeah.
Photoshop every single day, and so when I would hear about Canva, I was sort of, that's for those people that don't know how to do this, and I'm wrong. Canva has really it has improved its offering a great deal. Not only does it provide templates, and they're in the proper format and resolution for their end
Mm-hmm.
home, but also they have a tremendous amount of, um, if you're designing a logo, let's say, they have all of these, helper logos. They say, pick one of these that you like, and then you can customize it. So when I first came up with this idea, I thought, oh gosh, how are we going to equip every designer with, an iMac and Photoshop, and how are we going to train them on those complex systems? But truly, these days it's much easier now, and I've actually been
Mm.
using Canva to develop Instagram
Oh,
stories for
wow.
clients. It's just so easy that I can't not use it. It's so much faster than using Photoshop. I can't even, I shouldn't give all my secrets away, but it's truly
It is
remarkable.
amazing. I agree. I agree. And you
Yeah.
just touched on another topic. You mentioned you create stories for customers, but this is not the web store, right? Is this still part? No.
No, right. No, currently the web store is
Uh,
just websites. I imagine we could
mhm.
expand into generating content for
Uh-huh.
social media, but I think we would start with the thing that I know best, and that's a
Uh-huh.
web page, whether it's your resume or inviting a girl to prom, and I really want to see websites being used more and more for personal communication. I personally, I send my mom um, videos and pictures from a website so that she doesn't have to load her phone up with a whole bunch of stuff. She can just go to my website, and she can see her grandsons, and she can see where I'm
Mhm.
at right now. It's a much more rich way to
Mhm.
communicate. And of course, we know that because we're all on Facebook and we're
Yeah.
looking at Twitter. But those things we don't own. We don't control those. They can take our content off. They can add a
Yes.
warning. When you have your own website,
It's
it's your real
yes.
estate.
Yes.
It's yours. You own it. And that is not the case if you're going with Wix or Squarespace.
Hmm.
They own that space. You're just
Oh,
leasing it
that's
from them.
that's
So
sorry.
I believe that's a key part right there is your website is your
Hmm.
asset. It's real estate that you own, and it's becoming more and more valuable, I believe,
Yes,
every
I
day.
agree, and that's a important statement that you just said. Like using a tool like that do not let you own your own content is actually just being renting a house where the owner can actually ask you to leave at any time with no contract, right? And that just
Right.
reminds me of what happened on Facebook last year, when Facebook completely stayed offline for one day, one full day or 2 days. It was like very
Yes.
serious because a lot of people work using like WhatsApp and Instagram itself and Facebook. So those people were,
Mhm.
they had no way to work those 1 or 2 days that I don't quite remember. So it's really important. That's great.
Yes, and even more now, you know, we see whole companies cutting out parts of their customer base because they don't agree with maybe their opinion. This is a place where you can have your own
Hmm.
opinion, and you don't have to worry about somebody approving it or you know marking you as saying something that's not you know within
Hmm.
their rules. So I believe that for example, many websites or many companies, I should say, they will when it says, you know, what's your website, they'll send you to their Facebook page. But whose logo's up in the corner? It's
Yes.
not yours, you know. So I mean, I think really, and as you know, the more content we generate on Facebook, the more money
Yeah.
Facebook makes. They're not sharing it with
Yes.
us.
That's correct.
So I really want to change the way people uh, buy websites.
Hmm.
That's my goal.
Yeah, that's important. And besides that, Google, as far as I know, don't find stores inside Facebook, does it? Or Instagram?
Um, I don't know if they, I think, I don't
Uh-huh.
know for sure. I need to
Yeah,
find out. I don't think they were,
I don't think there is like an
but
SEO for content inside Facebook, or maybe there is, but not as strong as your own website or even YouTube, because of course YouTube is part of Google, so whatever you create on YouTube is
mhm.
easily searchable on Google. They certainly make it on purpose.
Yes,
Um, all
right.
right. And would you like to use this space to talk a little bit about others business that you may have? Anything you would like to kind of ask people if you can help other people or you can offer some kind of service? If you don't want to talk about that,
I
totally fine. It's up to you.
I'm totally open to do that. Every project I get now, I'm sort of sending it through the web store
Mm-hmm.
format, so it's
Mm-hmm.
practice for me. Yes, I'd love to generate content, build websites. I also I'm a big brand person. My first job was at A&W Root Beer as a car hop, and they're a big brand. My second job was well, I was a Kelly girl for a short time, but my next job was at Century 21 Corporate. And I don't know if you know much about Century 21, but they don't sell real estate, they sell their
Mm-hmm.
brand. Their customers are other offices. So I learned a lot about the value of brand and about franchising. So all of those things will play a part in the web store. I worked for Epson America for a while. So I believe that brand is super important. Um, Maybe eventually we will include some of that service in the web store. I know that logos aren't fast, so that'll be a
Mm-hmm.
challenge. But who knows? You know, maybe we will have 2 or 3 people that are just super great, super strong in that area. Uh, but we're actually testing now. So, you know, send me what you got, and I'd sure love to
All
help.
right, there you go. There's a message.
Yeah.
And do you have a mission? Like, did you ever think about like, I build it because I believe in this or that thing? Is that like a mission statement you would like to share?
I I haven't really created a specific
Mm-hmm.
mission, but again, I really truly believe that that one day soon websites will be as simple as walking into your local Staples store, ordering it up on a kiosk, and before you leave the store, your website
Mhm.
is live.
All right. And I think we have touched this subject already, but I will ask you formally now. Why and how did you pick this idea to work on? You already mentioned like your experience and everything, but it's just a formal statement now. It's like, why did you pick this idea to work on?
Um, I've had lots of ideas around websites and building businesses around them. This one spoke to me loudest because it's what I do
Mhm.
anyway. It's something that I've thought for a long time that, people that are building their own websites, they're writing their own websites, are trying to figure out what's important. Um, I think it's difficult when you do your own. When you go to a website, you can a lot of times see that there's no path. There's no user-friendly way to find what you're looking for. So I think that, for example, there's no call to action. I'm really hoping to help businesses make better websites in less time for less money. As you
Mhm.
said,
Mhm.
time is money, and you spend 48 or 60 hours building something when you really should be building your business, developing um, your core target market or what have you, instead of spending all this time on a website. And I'm sure that if I tried to change the oil in my car, it would take me way longer than to just drive into the local Valvoline service and have them do it for me. I mean, I just think it's a better way to do this. I think it's it's going to change the way people make their
Yeah,
websites.
and even we consider the growing number of people that actually need a website, right? Because before, if you are
Yes,
selling food on the street, that's all you needed to know is like what food you cook and where you are. But nowadays things changed, right? It's like it's important if you are online.
yeah,
People say if you're not online, you don't exist, right? So it's
right. What do they say? It's the cost of
hmm
entry. You have to have
hmm
a website, even more important than a
hmm
business card today.
yes, yes, yes. That's very
Mhm.
good. In fact,
It,
I lose cards very easily. But to me, I
yes,
will always remember at least a portion of the name of a business or the name of the owner or whoever. And then if you type on Google and something shows up, that's the business card nowadays, right?
there you go. Yes, exactly. So I'm ready to test this. And Rodrigo, you or any of your watchers, reach out to me. I would be happy to chat about your project, and we'll run it through our program and see how
Sounds
you
good.
like
I'll
it.
definitely do it, and I hope other people will reach out to you as well. I really hope it because it's
Awesome.
to me it sounds like oh such a relief. It's like I need it. I need it. I in fact I have like post-its on my desk here, things that I do during the week, and the
Yep.
website is here for probably like 3 4 months. It's like website, and everything we talk
Yes.
now, I'm doing all wrong because my brand is completely on Instagram right now. So it's I don't own
Oh,
anything, and if Facebook gets offline again, I'm offline as well. I mean, not I'm building my
wow.
startup is a mobile app. So my mobile app is not on Facebook, but the all the information, you know, videos, photos, and everything is on Instagram. So it's important for me to move and to get going with on the proper channel, which is kind of my own land or website.
Yes. Yes. You own
Yes.
it.
What
Hmm.
wakes you up at night, or what pumps you up during the day?
Well, this has helped me a great deal. I'm in the process of doing interviews with people to find out, if what their experience was building their website, whether they need a website, you know, whether this would even be a valuable thing for them. And so far, I'm learning, that yes, people really would use a service like this, and it's almost like, why not? Like, if you can walk in and spend a couple $100s and get you a 4-page website, or or maybe you have an interview or something and you want to just wow the person, you could walk in, do a real quick upload of maybe your resume and a video that directly attacks the problem that that employer is looking to solve. I mean, I I I remember a guy once when I used to buy printing. He came in with a photo book, and it was him backing out of his freeway, driving to my office, walking up to the security desk, asking for me. He went home, developed all those pictures, and then sent them to me. And he said, here I am coming, out from home to your office. I want you to buy printing for me. I was so impressed with that was before the internet. I was so impressed with the work that he did to present me with his desire to work with me that I hired him. And I think that we can do so much on websites that we can't do elsewhere. We can't do I mean, I had a lady tell me yesterday, well, there are all these places you can do this. You can go to YouTube, you can go to here, you can go to there. But it takes a lot of work to get a unique domain name for YouTube. I think you have to be a certain amount of subscribers or
I
something
think
to
it's
change
500, I
their,
believe. Yeah.
so you have to get, you can't just start out saying
Hmm.
youtube.com/Rodrigo. That's not
Hmm.
going to work. But yes, you can. If you have your own website, you can make it whatever you want, but you want it to be memorable so that people don't have to try to figure out what was that URL, what was that domain name. You want it to be short and easy to remember. And I think, I'm collecting domain names in case people want to use something else. So we have things like happy.com,
Hmm.
HA-PY. We have things like pool and we too, like for wedding
Hmm.
websites. And I do believe that I could shrink this down and go after one market, maybe real estate agents needing listing flyers, or short-term rentals needing a website to show off their property. Airbnb does a good job with their little websites, but again, it's not a URL. It's not a real quick place to send
Hmm.
people.
Hmm.
So I do believe that there are lots of different applications for this same software, and I'm making lists and I'm preparing for that as well. Some of it I'm not quite ready to talk
Hmm.
about, but I do think that this rapidly building websites, professional quality, SEO optimized, and just up live, in just a few minutes. Now, if you have a complicated site that has to integrate with maybe a payment system, that might take
Yes.
longer. It will
Hmm.
take longer, but we still have that rapid development as part of our core
Oh,
philosophy.
wow. And this question is actually like, what pumps you up? Your answer has pumped me up. So I feel the energy. So thank you. Thanks for sharing.
And I very much appreciate you doing this, Rodrigo. It's going to be very exciting to hear what other startup entrepreneurs have to say. I'm very curious about your journey and learning more about it. I think we all need each other. You're right. It's
Yes, it
lonely.
is.
It can be
Yeah.
very lonely. And none of my friends want to hear about it. They are sick of it.
I know, I know how it feels. Trust me, it's like a daily journey, like trying to talk to people who don't quite understand what we go through. Although they try, but unless you are
Yes.
really living it, you are really, fighting every single day this battle trying to build something that don't exist, that people don't understand. It is lonely. So yes.
And it can be scary. I think I was always afraid to do this, and I had to. It was a key moment when I heard my first million, Sam Parr and Sean Peary, who they talk to different entrepreneurs who have done super well. You know, they even have a Billy of the Week, billionaire of the week they talk about. But many of those people were also scared when they started. Many of them were not only scared, but they were delivering their product in a suboptimal way. But that's how they started. And I have been of the belief that I had to get everything perfect before I
Hmm.
started. And it's just listening to, interviews like this and people that have been there and done that, that I think fear is part of the journey.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Totally agree.
And it's good to know that I'm not the only one that's scared.
No, you are definitely not alone. Definitely not alone. We are all on the same boat, and yeah, it's good to have someone to share and to learn from and eventually share some sort of knowledge as well. So that's amazing. Um, just thinking here, do you think people like in our position, you have like some experience in our position, do you think people ever get to the point where they say, I'm done, I've accomplished whatever I wanted?
No, I think that people like us, I think once you arrive at something, you're looking for the next thing. And maybe even before you
Hmm.
arrive, I'm already looking at how I can expand the knowledge I've gained building the web store to apply to other startups. I have learned that I can't do more than one at a time because they just don't, you can have five things, but none of them move more than a couple
Yeah.
of inches a
Hmm.
year. So now that I've focused on one, um, and if I find that it's not a viable enough opportunity, then I will pivot or change or switch. But I do believe that it's worth really evaluating seriously, and that's where I'm at now. And you've been very helpful with that, Rodrigo. I appreciate it because you're in it. You're building apps. I would think that you would not be my target because you've got the skill. But you're right. It's time, and time is money.
Yeah.
And you may not have the visual acuity, or many of my clients say, I know what I want, but I don't know how to, you know, build it. I don't know how to visually make that. Um, and again, I think I can help people, and I can train people to help others to get the best out of their website so that they're optimized, they have a call to action, the copy is succinct and straight to the point, and that the usability is
Hmm.
clear. As I said, I was at Century 21. I did a lot of work for them after I left there. And as you know, Century 21 has two kinds of
Hmm.
buyers. They have two kinds of clients. They have buyers and
Hmm.
sellers. And when you're talking to a seller, you don't want the buyer to see what you're saying. And if you're talking to the buyer, you don't really want them to see what you're saying to the
Hmm.
seller, because you're telling the seller, I'm going to get the most for your
Hmm.
home. And you're telling the buyer, I'm going to get you the best
Hmm.
deal possible. So you've got two pathways. And when you go to a website, you want to clearly delineate where you want your customer to
Hmm.
go based on their user use case, or their user path, or their whatever you want to call that, their avatar. You want to speak directly to them. And I think so many websites just don't get that. They don't understand that there's a path, and you want to help people get wherever you want them to
Hmm.
go.
No, that's amazing. And if you look back on your journey building the web store and everything you've built, is there something you can point out as like something you can compare expectations versus reality, like something you believed like strongly would be this way, and it turned out to be like completely upside down. Is there something you have experienced?
I have always considered myself a sort of black sheep, sort of loner. My mom always liked my sister better,
Uh-huh.
but that's okay. My dad liked me better, so it's okay. We we understand things once we do them. So I always thought I was just better, alone. I like to work for myself. Being a designer is a pretty solitary job. But with this journey, I've reached out, I've asked for help, I've allowed myself to be vulnerable. I used to be afraid to quit anything because I thought it was a sign of failure, relationships, businesses, anything. And I have found that being vulnerable and just speaking your truth has been life changing. Um, because of my upbringing, I have a dysfunctional relationship with money, so I was very fearful around um, money and numbers, and I was afraid for even people to know that. But now it's like, if I'm not open, I won't get the right help. If I don't say, look, I'm good at this and this, but I'm not good over here, I'm going to fall short in the end. So I have found that being vulnerable and open with my gaps in the places I'm not so good has helped me a lot. Instead of hiding it, I'm wearing it. I'm like, I suck at the numbers. So I've sought out help for that. And it's wonderful. It has changed my life, literally. I have on my calendar, I have appointment after appointment with I'm talking to lawyers about intellectual property. I'm talking to counselors at the Small Business Development Center. Idaho has a women's business center. And I've always, in the past, my dad wanted a boy, so I wanted to be a boy. I thought they were better somehow. So I've always in the past rejected women's groups. It's like, I don't need that. Um, and I'm crazy because there is so much value that I have found in just, you know, listening to other business owners. What are they going through? Interestingly, the mastermind group I just joined, there are 8 or 10 of us. All of them said they struggled with marketing. And I thought, wow, I would have never known that had I not sat here,
Mhm.
you know? And it's wonderful because, each of us has our own strengths, and then we have issues where we're
Mhm.
struggling, and we can just lay them out, and the whole group helps each other. I find that incredibly
Wow.
valuable.
Thank you for sharing this. It was beautiful. Thanks for being vulnerable and sharing this with us. I really, really appreciate it. Um, so let me try something a little more. Uh, what is the word? I told you my English sometimes breaks up on me, and I lose some words. Uh,
I think you're doing great.
I would like to do something like a funny exercise. Let's say this. Let's
Okay.
say I'm your old uncle that have never used a cell phone or a computer, and I come to you on that dinner, and I ask you, what do you do? what, what is your business, or what do you work with?
Wow. Um, I think the best way to explain it, Uncle Rodrigo, is that um, I build brochures that anyone can see anywhere in the world.
All right.
I build a communication product that is truly without borders. I don't know if he would understand that, but that's what I'm doing. I'm building, for me, it's a new way to
Uh,
communicate. you know?
Well, that sounds reasonable to me. I think I'll get it. A little bit.
Oh, I really appreciate this, Rodrigo, not just today, but what you're doing. I think this is exactly what the startup community needs, more open, honest discussion around both the good and the
Yes.
bad.
Thank you so much, Joanne. You're being very kind. Thank you. We have just crossed 1 hour of like
Oh my
amazing
goodness.
conversation. I have to
Wow.
tell, I'm like thrilled that we had this conversation. Uh, at the same time, I'm frustrated because my studio behaved pretty bad on me today. The screen is still jumping around. Before we wrap this up, uh, is there any topic you would like to talk about that we have not discussed yet?
Mm, the only thing I think I would add is that I believe we're all in this together. And I think the more we can help one another, the better we are ourselves. I mean, my value to my customers is only there if I help them do what they want to do. I'm of no value if I don't help them accomplish their
Hmm.
goals. So I think that helping one another maybe is either underrated or we don't talk about it enough. People talk about failing fast, but when you're actually failing, it's not fun, and it's so enlightening and helpful to hear that some of my mentors
Hmm.
failed. All of them, I'm sure, failed at first, and maybe they still fail. But the difference is that we just keep getting back up. That's the only difference. I believe that's the only difference in somebody who succeeds and somebody who doesn't. Is the person who succeeds is going to fail too, but they keep
Yes.
trying.
Mm.
And I think that maybe if there were more conversations like this, we'd all be more
Mm-hmm. I
successful.
agree.
And I'm happy to do this again anytime you want, Rodrigo, so that we can maybe do one that doesn't have us jumping around. But I really have enjoyed this, and it's given me a lot to think about as well, and in how to talk about the web store.
Absolutely. You will be welcome back anytime you want, and we'll
Thank you.
definitely have you back here. And before we finish it officially, we met on the Y Combinator Startup School forum, right? So,
Mhm.
if you allow me to ask, what is Y Combinator Startup School for you?
Well, again, I've been trying to evaluate the value of the startup. I have applied to Y Combinator in the past. I got past the first set of questions, and they called me, and I didn't make it in. And I do believe that there is a time and a place for everything, and that even the bad stuff takes us where we want to go. So with the startup school and the learning I'm doing there, I'm trying to fill some of the gaps I have. Um, even evaluating the idea was a hard thing for me. I'm still in the process of doing that. But the startup school has the tools and the network. Without it, I wouldn't have found you. And I'm learning every day, not just from their curriculum, but the dialogue that goes on, and even the old articles that Mr. Graham wrote are just really, really full of great
Mhm.
things, great information, great strategies, tools, and I'm all in. I'm soaking up the knowledge, and I'm hoping that just um, that my refusal to give up is enough.
All right, that's awesome to finish our conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much for sharing so much knowledge. I'm really glad we had this chance to talk and And I'm looking forward for our next conversation with no jumping around screens, hopefully. Uh, and Joanne, thank you so much for taking this time.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much. And I'll talk with you soon. And for whoever is watching us, thank you very much for your time as well. Take care.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye
Bye.
bye, Rodrigo.